in case. Ah,
Welcome to the Fabulous Life Focus 21-day challenge to ignite fabulous life. My name is Denise Williams. I'm here with Elizabeth Terry, master
yay.
trainer and NLP not practitioner. You're at a higher level than practitioner. What is your NLP designation, Liz?
Trainer and master coach.
And master coach. And this is important because what we've been doing, yesterday was our day one, or in day two yesterday, we have been using the a lot of the elements from NLP, neuro
Mhm.
linguistic programming, as laying the foundation for the mindset of a fabulous life. So quickly, Liz, what is NLP? Because a lot of people don't know that.
What is NLP? Well, it's really about understanding how to use the language of the mind to enable you to get the results that you want in every aspect of your life. So
Okay.
your mind, I mean, most people know we have a mind, right? But we don't really know what's going on up there. And
Right.
so it's helping people to better appreciate how we can manage our mind and our mindset, because that is the basis for our experience in life. So if we can do that well, then
Right.
we're likely to get better results and outcomes.
And so let's just spend a second on that key word. You keep saying results.
Mhm.
Yeah? Why is that critical?
Well, listen, when I say results, I'm talking about any kind of outcome we get in our lives. So that outcome can be in terms of your relationships, the quality of your friendships, the quality of your relationships with your partners, with your children, with your colleagues. That's just one aspect. So it is the quality of the experiences that you have when I say outcomes. Now, sometimes, of course, an outcome is directly related to a specific goal that you're looking for and you're after. And around this time of year, then people are thinking about, the goals that you're going for 2021. But
Right.
I mean, in essence, when I say the results that you're getting in your life, it has to do with all the experiences that are a result of your thinking, your feeling, your physiology, your actions, your behavior. All of those things ultimately bring you a result.
Okay. All
Mhm.
right. So, in that regard, let's just take a little recap of what we did yesterday. Yesterday was about your self-confidence.
Right. So yesterday we talked about, who are you as an individual? How do you see yourself? What is the image, the self-image you have, and how do you rate yourself, which is your self-esteem? So we talked about these various aspects of your self-esteem and self-concept. And of course, we gave you some tips. So all of that is in the replay, which I think you already
Yes,
posted these. I posted
that's
it on my
right.
page, right? And I also emailed all of the persons who had registered, not only with the link, but with the PDF workbook. Because this is a challenge, we want you to actually use the
Right.
workbook to document daily what you are doing towards making some of the changes we're suggesting.
Absolutely. And so much love to the persons watching the replay. Now, for the
Yes.
persons with us right now, big up you. And so,
Mhm.
Liz, let's get started. So, we looked at self concept. And
Mhm.
so, I'm encouraging everyone who may not have been on our mailing list to check out the Fabulous Life Focus YouTube channel and, of course, Limitless Transformation Facebook page and the Fabulous Life Focus Facebook page. So, there's a lot of sources for you to get awesome information. Now, that said, today's challenge, Liz, let's take a look at
Yeah.
that.
So then the next important part of what we're going to be looking at is the detox. So we're calling this entire 4 days that I'll be with you, the detoxing of your mental self, your mental spiritual detox. We are very familiar with physical detox. Everybody knows some people fast, some people have juices, some people do a cleanse. Well, this is a thought cleanse. This is a mindset cleanse. So today
Oh,
we're
Liz, I'm sorry to
yeah.
cut you, but the questions that come, there's several, and I'll be jumping in with them. But one of the
Mhm.
early questions is when you use the word detox, some persons kind of pull back because, some of us, when we do food detoxes, we get because we're
Mm.
hungry and, we've given up our beloved, potato chips or whatever.
Mhm.
Is a mental detox going to be as like a
Rigorous.
deprivation? Yes, a
Yeah.
food detox. No?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
it does
All right.
take mental discipline and effort. I'll tell you that. And you have to really become very aware of what's going on inside your head. And when you do that, you recognize, there is a recent study that was done that says you have 6,200 discrete thoughts per day. I know there was one that people spoke about that said we have, I think it's 70,000. But more recently, I think it was in 2019, they did another study, and this research indicated that they had discovered what they call a thought worm in our brain. It was able to now, yeah, a thought worm, that we can actually measure the beginning and the end of a thought. In this study. And so this study proved that we have 6,200 thoughts, approximately on
Wow.
average per
In our
day.
head.
Exactly. So, I mean, my question to our listeners is how many of those 6,200 thoughts that you are thinking are stale thoughts, are thoughts from yesterday? They're thoughts connected to the past, or they're negative thoughts about what went
Oh,
on,
yes.
unforgiveness or hurt, or, things that we
Ah,
really just need to put aside. So detoxing your thoughts really starts with paying attention to what's going on in your head. What are not just what you're saying to yourself, because we talk about that on the fourth day, but we're talking about just generally speaking. Where are you putting your focus? Where is your attention? Because wherever you are putting your attention, that's where your energy is flowing to. And if you believe or know anything about the law of attraction, you would recognize that that is impacting the experience of life that you have. So when you have negative thoughts, which are maybe based on fear-based thinking, as the slide says, failure, disappointment, criticism, or how many of us are constantly criticizing? We're judging people, we're judging situations, we're labeling them bad, good, indifferent. Some people even have jealous thoughts, or condemning others all the time. So all of those thoughts really become sort of filters to our experience. And when we actually keep on thinking the same thoughts all the time, they become embedded like beliefs that we have. And these beliefs drive our behavior. And that's why they're important, because when we have
so let me
beliefs, they will.
in. Right. So let me jump in right here and say first, Andrea Blackwood Harrod is giving you a warm hello, Liz.
Hi,
Hello
Andrea.
to
Lovely to
you.
see you.
Now that said, uh, my concern is what if people annoy us and bother us daily and we can't help but thinking about them in a
Mm,
judgmental way?
right. Well, here's
How are we
where,
supposed to detox a situation
yeah,
that's provoking?
good. Well, let me tell you, there is a methodology that I use, and I think about it this way. If there is someone in your space that is, irking you, irritating you for some reason, it usually is giving you a message of where you need to grow. And often that experience is showing within you aspects of yourself. Perception is projection. That's one of our NLP tenets. So, whatever you have inside of you is generally what you are going to actually see on the outside. If you didn't have any experience of it on the inside, you would not notice and you would not be able to observe it externally. So, for some of us, that's a very large frog to swallow. But if you
Yes.
school yourself into recognizing as within, so without. And whatever you are experiencing is at the very least, it's giving you an opportunity to grow beyond that experience. It's telling you where you need to grow. So that's what I would say with that one.
So, well, then let me be a little facetious and say you're saying to me I actually then need to go back, become a school teacher so that I don't be annoyed with homeschooling. That's what you're saying.
No, you need to examine yourself and say, okay, what is this experience teaching me? And how can I
It's
manage it
teaching
in a
me
way?
I
It's teaching
never
you how
learned
hard a
sixth
job the
grade
teachers
algebra.
have.
I never paid attention in sixth grade algebra, and it has come back for me.
I know, I
Oh
know. Yes, 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 for sure.
my
No,
goodness.
it's a real challenge for parents at home now that, have to be monitoring school in a very different way, for sure. But it's giving us the ability to step back and to self-reflect, and that's one of the things we call it in NLP metacognition. It's the ability to step out of yourself, look at yourself, and to say, okay, so how can I manage this differently? Because the truth is that if we don't manage our thoughts and experiences well, we end up giving ourselves a lot of stress, and that impacts us not just in terms of our mood, but it impacts the decisions we make. It impacts our behavior, the outcomes that we get, and it impacts very importantly. And I know that Andrea is going to take this up in her challenge. It impacts ourselves physically. So stress, as you know, impacts us. So it's a good reason to really care about your thoughts and to care about yourself. So by caring about yourself, you're less concerned with the other person who is doing whatever they're doing and more concerned about your reaction to the experience and managing that.
Awesome.
Yeah. So when we have beliefs, so beliefs
So when
are. You had another question, Denise?
no, no, I was bringing up back the worksheet. Sorry, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. So our beliefs are these deeply held thoughts or convictions about how we feel the world works. And that's really just our interpretation. So this is one of the things that NLP teaches, that our experience of life is very subjective. And we can see this because people go into a movie and because of your values, your interests, your passions, your uh, the things that really switch you on, you may have a different experience of that movie than the next person who's a few rows down from you. And that means that the experience of life is really based on your inner self, your values, your memories, your beliefs, and so forth, your meta programs, and the thoughts that you have that shape our experience of life. So it's useful for us to be able to detox those thoughts that are not serving us well. Because by doing that, we have the ability to change our experience of life. So the first thing that I think is important, especially now when we're talking about goals and what we want to achieve in this year, when we think of a goal that we have, often we will get resistant thoughts coming up. So the first tip that I have is that we need to identify what those resistant thoughts are. We need to listen when we have a goal or something that we want. Listen to hear what our thoughts are around that goal. Listen to hear if you have any buts, can'ts, ifs. These are the words that will jump out at you that suggest that there are
Yes.
areas of resistance. So if you do that, you begin to identify. And then the next step is to look at what stops you. What is if there is something that is preventing you, you say to yourself, well, oh, I can't possibly do that. I know that it's something that I want, but I have to do this, and that's impossible for me. And so the question to ask yourself is it really true? Is this really true? Because often we have limited ourselves in some way, and it's not true at all. There are other times in our lives when we have been, for example, confident. You have a question?
I do, because one of the challenges is, let's look at the workplace. If
Hmm.
you've ever had, let's say, a performance appraisal,
Hmm.
and you're sitting there and hearing everything you've done wrong in the workplace, or
Hmm.
in companies where appraisals are maybe in front of the board, and
Right.
each member of the board takes turns saying, you should, this is it. How do
Hmm.
you shift from saying this is their right, or this is the my reality, that kind of deal? You understand what I'm saying? So
Mm.
how in those kind of
Yeah.
high stress where your job is on the line, money is on the line, how do
Yeah.
you make that internal shift to detox the fear that I'm going to lose my job, the how these people are, this feeling of attack? How do you do
Hmm.
that?
Yeah. Well, that's a very particular situation, and I would say that you have to be prepared when you go into any kind of review. You have to be prepared, and in that preparation, you have to ensure that you have good evidence of your
Hmm.
performance. So, in a
Right.
situation like that, I believe ensuring that you have evidence of all the points that you think are likely to be raised, that you are able to
Yes.
demonstrate and to show that this is something that you did, and this is something, and da 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 da, and so forth. Because the last thing you want to do is to react emotionally. Because once you get overwrought in the
Yes.
situation, you begin to be defensive, and you will lose your
Yes.
sense of equilibrium and centeredness. So you have to also do work on yourself so
I
that in that preparation you're ready.
I can share that I do know someone who is real. They have, let's say, $30,000, and we're talking about US dollars,
Hmm.
available to them, and they won't go for it because the
Hmm.
person who has to sign the check is a very unpleasant person.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
And
we're
you
going
say to
into some
yourself,
very,
hmm,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, those are very particular situations that would probably necessitate, a more detailed coaching session to give you tips on how specifically to deal with that. So really, that's something anybody can contact me, and we can have a deeper conversation on that for sure. But fear-based thoughts and fear-based thinking generally they're caused really from inside. Yes, people can say what they will, but if you are able to get rock solid in your self-confidence and self-esteem, you will be able to react to critique in a non-defensive way, you would be able to, no matter how the feedback lands with you, because not everybody is very skilled at giving feedback. So sometimes people just, they're taking it out on you, so to speak. But you have to be able to develop your inner sense of self and confidence, and to recognize when something can be really constructive and you can take it on board, and when you really need to provide the evidence to the contrary so that you can hold your ground well. So in terms of a goal, like what's stopping you, to find out if it's really true is an important point, because sometimes, we just make up things in our minds. We come to a conclusion based on one incident. And there may be other times when, for example, you had confidence and you were able to display that very well. So the fact that I don't have the confidence or I can't do a particular thing may just not be true. So you need to interrogate it. So what are the consequences of holding on to those thoughts? So you need to also ask yourself, if I continue to think in this way, then what is the likely consequence or result of that thinking? Because you will really then be stuck if you can't change your thoughts, which of course you can. So journaling, I always suggest to people that journaling can be very helpful in this exercise. So the third tip is to encourage yourself to develop what I call possibility thinking. It's a muscle like any other muscle that we have. So if something is thrown at you, and you can ask yourself, well, is it is it possible to do something like this? And then could it be possible for me? Now, that is a muscle that sometimes, especially people who are really risk averse, they don't like to step out of their comfort zone. And so this possibility muscle is really weak. So we have to be able to strengthen it by asking ourselves, are there other people who have done it? Because, before the 1 minute mile was run, nobody thought it was possible. Everybody figured that it was absolutely impossible to run that 1 minute, run a mile in a minute. And then somebody broke the barrier, and before you know what, there was many, 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 many people who did it as well. So it always just takes one person, and then there will be followers, because all of a sudden it becomes possible. And so this is the question here to ask yourself. Denise, you're
Yeah.
smiling.
I don't. Well, I want to jump in here when you look at this whole possibility thinking muscle.
Mhm,
I like it because one of the things I have actually learned, and this maybe rocket science to me and everybody else around me knows it, but a lot of things we take for granted that we don't know how to do is a skill we just never learned.
hmm,
Yeah, and so you see someone and it comes natural to them, and you have to work hard at it. So for
hmm,
example, public speaking, there's some people who are just terrified of going in front of people
mhm.
on stage, and then
Sure.
other people say, well, yes, I'm terrified, but I'm going to learn how to
Mhm,
speak in front of people because maybe that's part of the job and stuff. So that whole
mhm,
muscle, I just think the idea of thinking about it as a muscle means, well, what do you do when you want to build muscle? You go to the gym and you exercise and you
that's
practice,
right.
and it's pretty much the same thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's absolutely right. So it means that everybody has the possibility to develop it. Yeah, that muscle.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right,
And this is, I mean, kind of the basis of everything that we have developed in NLP. It's actually based on modeling. So if somebody can do something excellently,
right.
that means that we can observe, we can learn all the aspects of how that is done from a strategy perspective, which is all internal as well as external, representations of that strategy, all of the steps, and we can install it in ourselves. So that's a really great idea to develop, like the gym, Denise. So number four is the
Yes.
exploring positive intent of thoughts and beliefs. So from our perspective, it every time we have a negative thought or a belief, there is usually something behind it. It is serving you, quote unquote, in some way. It could be that it is protecting you from feeling the possibility of not achieving what you want. And so if I don't do it, then I can't fail, right? It could
Right.
be something like that. It could be that it is covering a need or a value that you need to have fulfilled, like perhaps security. You know, maybe you are someone that likes a lot of security, and so
Yes.
your can'ts and those kinds of beliefs that you have about yourself are a self-protective mechanism so that you don't have to face the idea of being in any situation that you are uncertain of. So if you know what is the need behind it that you're trying to fulfill, then number five tip is to think about, is there any way that in this goal that you have, you can incorporate a positive way to fulfill that value. So, for example, if you have a need for a high level of security in making a decision, then what is it that I can do that will help fulfill that need and not allow it to stop me from maybe investing, Denise, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe I have a fear of investing because I don't know enough about the stock market, right? And so I basically, I absolutely don't go there at all. I won't make it part of my goal because I have this fear. Now, if I know that I need a certain sense of security, maybe behind that is a need to understand or to have a guide, help me, then I can include in my
No, I
strategy someone like you, Denise.
Well, let me tell you, one of the things I will say about investing and the detoxing of thought, what we have, and I don't think it's unique to investing, maybe the same for dieting and
Mhm.
exercise and anything else, is a lot of people want it right now and in the easiest way. And so that's not usually the case. What's usually the case is that you have to put in some effort. So what I really
Yeah.
love about the detox is to really say, okay, it's almost like here's the game plan to think
Mhm.
better.
Yeah. So it's really
You know,
about
I like that a lot.
developing your self-reflection and your self-awareness. I mean, if we are wanting to be in charge
That's
of our
right.
lives, we have to develop that muscle of being able
Yes,
to self-reflect, to be aware of what we are actually doing. So many times we are just on automatic pilot, right? So our unconscious mind takes over and we're just going and we are doing, and we don't question and interrogate our thoughts. And so we talk about also, critical thinking. We need to apply critical thinking to our own lives.
yes,
Yeah. So how our mind works, and to
yeah, absolutely.
critically, yeah, interrogate and to question the reasons why we think the way we do. Because if we don't, we are on automatic pilot. We are just simply fulfilling programs that have been deeply embedded.
Yes,
So
yes,
yeah,
yes,
so that's really, detoxing your thoughts, and it's not. You asked me the question, Denise, earlier, whether this is like going on a diet, and that you have to, really muscle up. Well, it does take discipline, because let's face it, if we're sitting in front of the TV and we are constantly watching negative news, it takes a certain level of
yes,
discipline to simply say, no, I don't want this anymore, and I turn it off.
Right.
You have
Yes.
to be willing to do that and to make different choices. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well, let
Right.
me
So I
tell
wanted
you,
to
I
say,
want
I
that
wanted
again.
to just say to our listeners and those who are participating in this challenge that if you have not yet got your workbook, then you need to register on Eventbrite, and then I'll
Yes.
have your email and I'll be able to send you the workbook because we really want you to use the workbook as your journal and to
Yes.
develop your plan so that you can complete this 4-day and 21-day challenge ready and revved up to take on the new
Yes.
year.
And absolutely. And I just want to thank everyone involved in this Fabulous Life initiative. And we're going to keep it going because we have a couple more days to go. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yeah. And
Thank
tomorrow we're
you.
going to be doing emotional detox. Yeah. So what
Oh,
do we do
oh,
with that?
oh my God. Liz, you need to set up a tent outside of divorce court. I'll say no more. All right.
All
Bye.
right. Well,
Bye.
it's been wonderful